begin today's interview, I actually want to remind you of a helpful lesson from last week's interview with New York injury lawyer Arkady Freckman, who's been working to focus his practice on serious injury cases, in case you missed it. Because YouTube is a search engine, it draws people looking for answers and solutions. In personal injury, those tend to be people who have been severely hurt. In Arkady's words, this is what he told me. The clients who contact us from YouTube are serious injury clients. More of them have a traumatic brain injury, some kind of fracture with surgery, or even a spine surgery. I haven't seen too many fender bender soft tissue cases from YouTube. That's compelling, right? Arkady is pulling in those bigger cases by posting twice weekly on YouTube, which is a less demanding production schedule than the typical Instagram or TikTok posting schedule that we talk about, which is what, at least 5 to 7 videos every week. So think about adding YouTube videos to your production goals. If you need help, know that we shoot, edit, optimize, and post YouTube videos as well as Instagram and TikTok, so we can certainly help you with that. But turning to today's session, this is a good one. My interview today is with a Dallas criminal and injury lawyer, gaining most of her clients from referrals and from Instagram, despite having only 4,000 followers on Instagram. Let's get to it. Hi there, welcome back to the Grow with Cara show. Today we continue our interview series with successful attorney marketers. We're taking a close look at what's working, what's not, the specific steps these attorneys took to get to where they are. And remember, these are simple steps that you too can follow to get on a similar path to growth. Okay, let's get right to it like we always do. Today, our special guest is attorney Bridgette Williams. Bridgette is the owner of BLW Legal Group, a criminal defense and personal injury firm in Texas. We're excited to have her here today. Welcome, Bridgette. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive in. You're doing a lot of cool things. So, Bridgette, to begin, tell us a little bit about your story. Why did you launch the firm?
Well, I started out of law school as a prosecutor. I worked at a district attorney's office down in Beaumont, Texas, a very small office right outside of Houston, Texas, and did that for a couple of years. And it was an opportunity really for me to get a lot of trial experience. So I was, having trials probably maybe 2 or 3 times a week because the office was so small. So I was constantly in trials. And as any person could imagine, someone having trials at that level can quickly put you in a burnout phase, and just, trying to stay on top of all those cases. It was quickly burning me out. And so I did not stay at the DA's office too long. I left after about 2 years, and I decided to launch my firm at that time. That was in 2000, I want to say 14. That was in 2014 that I decided to launch my firm. And I started it at that time, and it was kind of a very slow growth at the very beginning. And I did get discouraged and was listening to family members and other people who may not have ever even started a business, right? When I look back in hindsight, I'm like, well, why did I do that? But when I listened to them, I stopped practicing on my own and went and got a job at a firm.
Oh.
So I worked for a small PI firm in Fort Worth, Texas, for literally probably 3 or 4 months. I knew that I didn't want to do it, but I learned a lot within that time period. But I knew that just wasn't for me, and I knew that I wanted to have my own firm. So after 4 months, I let that job go, and I started my practice immediately thereafter. And so when I first started, I was doing mostly probably about 90% criminal work. And so it was because that's what I knew. I knew some PI cases, some PI things too, but I was very strong in criminal work because I had, worked at the DA's office and had so much trial experience.
Right.
So I did that for a while. And as time progressed, I started getting more into PI work, just signing up for different CLEs and just from just knowing other attorneys and gaining experience and exposure from talking with them. That's how it kind of transitioned into doing more PI cases. So then now we're doing criminal and PI.
Interesting, interesting. So you went on out on your own for a brief period, kind of struggled to drum up business, went to work for a few months at a small firm, and then decided, you know what? No, I'm gonna go it alone. I'm gonna do this. How were you drumming up those early? You talked about mostly criminal defense cases. How were you drumming up business early on? You know, kind of the second time that you went out on your own.
I was I was screaming from the mountaintops that I was doing, criminal defense work, and I was out here on my own.
Yeah.
So everywhere I went, I was telling, someone, hey, I'm a criminal defense attorney. I mostly do DWI cases, but I do criminal defense work. I was going to the dentist, make sure my dentist knew, and I put cards out at their office, at my local coffee shops.
I love it.
They have, cards. They still have cards there now.
I love it.
um, at that time, I was heavily marketing and doing paid social media ads on Facebook
Oh,
at that time. That was a really big money maker for me at that time, was for Facebook. And so it was from Facebook leads, and then referrals was a huge, huge money maker for me when I was first starting.
oh, interesting, interesting. So, what kind of a budget were you working with for those Facebook ads? Because it sounds like you were pretty, pretty new still. What was it? A modest budget, or tell us about what that monthly budget looked like?
It was very modest.
Yeah, yeah.
It was very modest because at that time I really didn't have, much money or much resources. I had saved up, I want to say probably about $10,000. And that was back in 2014. I had put that amount of money into the marketing for the year. And so it was very modest.
Yeah.
I want to say, if I can remember correctly, it's been so long, but I would say probably no more than maybe $250 to $500 a month at
Mm,
that time. It was not a lot of money.
mm,
But I was very strategic about the locations
mm.
where I wanted the marketing to go, or the Facebook ads to go to at that time. And so at that time it was just, like in Dallas, Texas, and the surrounding cities. And so I got a lot of calls from that.
Smart. What were you promoting on the ad? Was it, tell us about the ads that you were using.
Sure. So I made those ads when I first started on, I want to say, just like Canva, and some other apps that I had, found, and that I had asked other attorneys about, okay, well, what ads are do you use, and where are you getting um the resources to make your own ads? So I would make them myself and post them onto like my Facebook page and onto the business Facebook page as well. So on both. And then we would promote that. Those ads would say, well, okay, Bridgette is doing, DWI work. Bridgette is doing possession of marijuana defense work. So like more specific, not just, oh, criminal defense.
Mm,
It would say, okay, intoxicated related cases. And so I was getting quite a few calls as it related to that. It was much easier to do social media ads at that time.
yeah,
And
that's what I
so
was gonna say. Yes.
yes,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
much, much easier to
Right.
do.
Right. Yeah. So, 20, I think you said 2014-ish, right? Yeah. Things have definitely changed significantly on Facebook specifically. Are you still investing in Facebook ads to this day?
No,
Okay.
no, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Didn't see the
Right now, I don't do any social media ads at the time. Right now, things are pretty much organic.
Yeah, and we're going to get into the organic stuff because I love what you're doing on there. Let's talk a little bit about how big is your team? How many attorneys and support staff?
So right now I am the only attorney here. I have two paralegals, and then I also have an intake team. The intake team is through Smith AI. So Smith answers my calls, and then it's automated for pretty much I give Smith a script of questions in order to be able to divide into what type of clients should be moving forward to a consultation, right? So just based off of those basic questions that Smith has, they can say, oh, yes, they need to move forward to a consultation, or this is not a good fit.
Nice, nice.
So then after that, then it goes to my consultation schedule. So two paralegals, myself, and then Smith.
Nice, nice. About at what percentage pace is your firm currently growing, Bridgette?
So I would say right now, we've had just, this is July, and we're about 30% moving forward than where we were last year at this same time. So, and that's just based off of, the amount of cases that are brought in and the amount that they have been being paid out at, so settled at it as well. So the percentage right now is 30% for where we are right now compared to where we were at this exact same time last year.
Nice, congratulations. That's really, really impressive. What's fueling that growth, Bridgette? How are you attracting clients? How are most of them coming to you now?
So most of my clients right now come from social media, Instagram, referrals still. Referrals is such a big thing. Referrals still, and then I still get some clients from Google. They'll say, well, I searched your name on Google and you came up that way. So those three things are the biggest lead generators for me.
Nice. Well, let's talk about social media then. You're very active. You're at Lawyer Bridgette on Instagram and TikTok. How many leads are you generating? What does volume look like? What types of cases are coming through Instagram?
So Instagram right now, I average probably anywhere from about 6 to 8 new leads per month on Instagram. And that's just from posting, educational videos or videos about things that I'm doing around Dallas, or different speaking engagements, just talking about that on Instagram, just being vocal on Instagram. So about 6 to 8 is about the average that I get from social media.
That's great. And those are qualified leads. Those are high quality leads about what percentage of those are turning into clients?
Yeah, it varies. I would say maybe most of the time half, sometimes more than half. It just varies.
Yeah.
But I would say at least half
Yeah.
turn into clients.
That's huge. That's huge. Tell us about your start on social media. How did you get into it initially?
So initially on social media, I would just post pictures, right? Because that was the thing at the time. It was just pictures. And it would be pictures of things that I did around Dallas or just things that were going on in my life. And family, friends, and other people that were coming in would comment. As time progressed, the algorithm changes and now it's reels and it's videos. So we continue on and start, doing reels and videos and doing things that are maybe educational based. And so teaching the audience about, how the legal process works. If ever you are arrested for something, what do you do next? If an officer wants to stop you for the suspicion of DWI, how do you handle it? That kind of thing. So teaching. And I've noticed that those are the ones that get like the most shares.
Yeah.
So that, and then just doing more videos, just becoming more comfortable doing more videos. I try to do more speaking engagements, even like this, to become more comfortable, doing speaking engagements and then doing videos, because that's kind of a big thing on Instagram now too.
Right. And it's like whenever you do something like that too, like this, you could take, clips from this and repurpose it, on Instagram and TikTok, right? And really kind of have that content, ready to go.
Yeah, and not just even on like Instagram and TikTok, but you can put portions of it into like an email marketing campaign as well, or a blog, or I sometimes will put snippets from different speaking engagements just onto my website. And that way clients can go back and look to see, okay, well, Bridgette's active in this as well, and even have some educational points where they can learn about the process too.
What sort of email marketing campaigns do you have running?
So the email marketing campaigns right now go to previous clients. They are divided into the types of cases that they've had before. So if they've come to me for specifically intoxicated related cases, they are on a specific email marketing campaign. If they've come for any type of criminal background cases, criminal defense cases, they're on a marketing campaign. If someone calls and they don't sign up right away, they're like, okay, well, I may need some time to think about scheduling a consultation because the consultation costs, right? Sometimes people don't want to pay it right away. There is an email funnel that goes out to them just to try to get them to, to sign up, right? So that's there. And then there's also email marketing campaign that goes out to medical providers that we've used in the past, just to let them know, hey, we enjoyed working with you on client X, Y, and Z. We look forward to working with you in the future if you would like to refer us cases.
Smart. So very targeted, past clients as well as referral sources. I think that's really, really smart. What platform are you using to send out the emails, but also to kind of tag and categorize? Do you use a practice management system or anything like that?
So I use MailChimp is what I've been using. It's been working pretty good. And right now it is working with Smith. So whenever someone calls, it automatically links with MailChimp. And so it goes into the email marketing campaign list. So that way we know that already. And then I keep a list of providers in our current CRM. And so whenever it's updated, then that list goes to MailChimp as well.
Smart. Lots of automation in place. I love it. Yeah. Kind of circling back to social media, take me through your current process. Where do you find inspiration for these new video topics? You talked a little bit about what's performing best, but let's dig in a little bit more there.
Okay. I would say in order to find topics, I do it a couple of different ways. So one, I ask the audience what they want to hear about. Yeah. So in the stories, I ask people if they have any suggestions on topics I should be covering. I'll do it in one of the questions, and then people will fill in topics there. So that's one way. Another way is previous clients and current clients who ask me questions or frequent questions that I get often, right? Frequent questions that come all the time. Then I'm doing videos about that too.
Right.
Like you said, because they can be repurposed, right? So I'll put it on social media, but then I'm also putting that in a blog or sending it out in an email. And so that way that alleviates, multiple questions coming in that are the same and repetitive. And then the last way is I have a marketing freelancer who sometimes helps me with ideas for Instagram videos as well.
Oh, nice. Are you shooting with that freelancer or are you shooting the videos yourself?
I have a tripod.
I love
And
it.
so it's either my tripod or my phone
Yep.
taken right here in my office.
Yep.
And it's here.
Yep.
Sometimes I have had that freelancer to come and help me do some, or my family or my friends, if I need something that isn't, where I can just do it right here and I need to not be touching it, I will have my family, my friends, or, match them and film it for me.
Right, right. But, I feel like anytime there's an obstacle, we're less likely to do it, right? Like if we need help from someone else or if we need a specific location, it's like, just pull out your phone and do it, right? I mean, I feel like sometimes you just gotta go for it.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest obstacle is just getting over that showing my face and talking on the camera. Most attorneys, especially solos, and small firm owners, is like, well, I'm used to talking in front of people about the law.
Yes.
As it relates to a judge and another prosecutor, things like that. But on social media, it can be a little different because you're like, okay, well, what if I don't sound smart? What if, I don't come across as, I know what I'm talking about and I need to make sure I look great and I need to make sure this and that. And so it's just like, well, no, just if you
Right.
write down your thoughts and generally what you're going to talk about, have bullet points. And then, like you said, you already asked your audience what they want you to talk about. You can, if you know the topics, well, the subject matter well, you can just kind of just put the camera out there and just start talking about it.
Did it take you a little while to get comfortable in front of the camera?
I would say it took me a little while, not necessarily just to get in front of the camera. I'm comfortable with that. It's more so about like, when can I dedicate the time to do it? And so what's really been helpful for me is whenever I have something that I already have to put makeup on and put a dress on for, then I automatically will just go ahead
Smart.
and do maybe 3 or 4 videos.
Yeah, yeah. Smart, smart. I like
And
that.
so that's been really helpful for me because, contrary to what a lot of the public thinks, every day I'm not dressed up and going to court.
Yeah,
So,
right.
some days, the days that I do have to do that, that's when I'm just going to go ahead and try to, batch content, or I'll have like set days of the week. So if I know that on Sunday I have church and then something else, then I'm going to come back home, and for at least maybe 2 to 3 hours, then I'm going to do content if I haven't done it that week before.
Smart, smart. I like that. I'm gonna take that tip personally. That's good. How many videos come out of a typical shoot, and how often are you posting a week?
So anytime that I shoot, I would say maybe I try to aim for about 4 to 6 different videos, depending upon how many things I've already saved, the audios that I may have saved already, or the topics, have I saved them already, and have I wrote down subject matters to discuss
Mhm.
already? And so I try to aim for about 4 to 6 different videos already in order to post on Instagram.
Okay.
Now, posting them is something different. Instagram, I try to do it where I schedule them, but Instagram doesn't allow, I don't know if there's a change been made, but previously they didn't allow for us to schedule reels.
Mhm.
So it only allowed for you to schedule like static posts or the slides. And
Mhm.
so I would schedule those. And now with the reels, I try to make sure I post it through Instagram and not through like a third app party, because I want to make sure the reach is going out to as many people as possible. So making sure that I'm doing that, I have to manually post it on Instagram. And so I would say, when my schedule is less busy, then I'm posting it, maybe 2 to 3 times a week. When
Okay.
it's a little more busier, probably 1 to 2 times a week.
Okay.
So the days I aim at posting are Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. That's
Okay.
like the main times.
Okay.
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
With the process you have in place, that seems somewhat manageable, not too overwhelming. That's good. How many hours a week would you say you're dedicating to social, even, from shooting to posting to even, engaging in comments and things like that?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say probably maybe anywhere between, if you said it per week,
Yeah.
maybe maybe like 4 hours or so, probably total, as like engaging with people and responding to comments. So because I'm going to respond to comments, while I have some downtime, I'm going to make sure I respond to comments. But it's just like setting aside the time to do it. But once you do it and you start responding, it doesn't take very long.
Mhm.
I think sometimes people overanalyze that part. It's like, okay, well, I got to respond to the comments.
Right.
That's going to take me an hour. No, you can really do it while you're sitting down, watching TV and trying to unwind for the day.
Right, right, right.
And
And those,
so it
oh,
doesn't
go
take
ahead.
a lot.
Yeah. And those leads that you mentioned earlier that are coming through, are they typically calling your office directly, or are they coming through direct messages through Instagram? How are they coming through?
Most of the time they're calling the office. I have the office phone number in my bio, and then I also have the link to my Calendly link in my bio as well. So they can schedule the consultations themselves, or they can call to schedule. And so I have some time from time to time where people will send me a message on a direct message to schedule a consultation, or just asking me a question.
Yep.
But if that does happen, then I very nice about it, I'll respond, but then I include the consultation link in the direct message to move them over to scheduling a consultation.
Smart, smart, smart. Are you putting any money into boosting posts on Instagram?
At this time, no, I'm not. I'm pretty sure I probably should be doing that. And down the line, I'll look into doing that more. But right now, everything is just organic.
That's impressive. What about other platforms? I know you're on TikTok. What has your experience been like on TikTok? Do you also post on YouTube as well?
Right now, my YouTube is about like my speaking engagements. I speak as a legal analyst and a legal contributor on a couple of different networks and local news providers here in Dallas, and then a network that's called Law and Crime. And so we use YouTube as a place to hold all of the interviews right now. So that's what I use YouTube for at this time. And then we post that to the website.
Sure.
So
Okay, good.
that's what we use YouTube for right now. As the year progresses, the goal is to do more on YouTube. And because it's a great platform in order to do explanatory videos talking about things that as it relates to the law. And so I think YouTube would be a great avenue to continue to explore and do more on.
Hmm. What about TikTok? How does TikTok compare to Instagram for you?
TikTok, I haven't really explored TikTok as much. I know that TikTok does cater to a younger audience, and so most of my clients and future, I'm sorry, most of my clients, current and previous clients, have been in Dallas-based women, ages between 35 and 44. Those
Interesting.
are mostly, the clients or how they got referred to me. So it may be where the wife calls for the husband. So the case is for the husband, but the wife is calling.
Mm,
Or, something along the lines of, well, my coworker recommended you. She follows you on Instagram.
mm.
Something like that. So most of my audience is about 35 to 44 at this time,
Got it.
women. And so they are on Instagram.
Right,
And
right. Yeah, that's
so,
smart. Yeah. Hang
so
out, hang out where they are. Yeah, that's smart.
exactly.
Yep. Are you generating injury leads on Instagram as well, or are the leads on Instagram mostly criminal defense cases?
They're both.
Oh,
They're
both.
both.
Oh, okay.
And I like that because the marketing, Google ads, and even sometimes the social media ads, but mostly the Google ads for PI is just so expensive, right? I
Ridiculous.
mean, it's it's like thousands of dollars per lead
Right.
on Google. And so it's like, okay, well, what ways can we be creative to bring in other PI cases?
Mhm.
So actually posting to social media, I would say at least posting 4 times a month about PI cases is my own personal goal. So I just try to make sure I post that at least 4 times a month, something that's educational, maybe like the slides, and then a reel about it as well. And then I make sure that I put in like the hashtags, that we do PI cases as well. So
Smart.
every now and then we do get cases for PI on social media.
Nice.
A lot of it is criminal, but it's some every now and then it comes some PI cases too.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, you're essentially becoming your followers' trusted legal advisor, right? And they, when they have a problem, they may not know exactly what type of attorney, they need to reach out to. So if you can be that resource, I think that's really, really smart. Bridgette, obviously social media is a national platform. Are you generating leads out of state, kind of out of your geographic area? And if you do, are you kind of referring those out of state leads?
Yes. So sometimes I will get someone who asks, I have a DWI case in Arkansas. Can you help me? And the answer is no. But I will refer them to another attorney if I know someone who is local. But I do get some interest from people who are all over the country. And I will refer them out to other attorneys all the time.
Have you built your out-of-state referral network through social media? Is that been a use of the platform as well?
Yes. So I think the latest person that I referred to was an attorney out of Chicago. And I just started following him on social media probably a few months ago, because he had a really good social media presence, and his reels and videos were really good and informative, for even for me. So I was watching them as well, and I was engaging with it. And so when I got a call about it, he was the first person I thought of, and so I referred the case over to him. So social media is a huge way. Another way is I'm in a couple of attorney Facebook groups.
Mm.
And so that's a huge way that I get referrals from, and that I refer cases out to other individuals across the country.
Oh, smart. Would you be able to tell us about the names of any of those Facebook groups in case our audience is interested?
Sure. One of them is called Lawyers on the Beach. I love that. And it talks about really the main focus is how you can run your firm virtually. Right.
Mm.
And so the best practices and apps that can be used,
Nice.
and how to run your firm virtually. So that's a really, really good one.
Good.
And I'm in there active quite frequently. My law school has one as well. So I went to Thurgood Marshall School of Law. We have a Facebook group where we have attorneys from all over the country who, have cases. And when we, have a case that may not be in our actual wheelhouse, then we ask there and then refer cases out to people too.
Love it. I love that. Super smart. Thank you. Bridget, are you using AI in your practice, either for marketing or in your daily work?
I use it to sometimes help with caption writing, for like the Instagram post,
Mhm.
or even sometimes the posts that need to go on YouTube, for the captions and the descriptions there. So we'll start there. Sometimes I also use it for blog writing. And so I'll start with that and then make sure I go back to fact check it. That is like the number one thing. Go back to fact check it. But after that, it makes it much easier. You're not starting from scratch,
Exactly.
right? And
Yep.
so you can write one or two blogs, maybe in 10, 15 minutes, or, 5 or 10 minutes instead of an hour.
Right.
So I think that does really help as it relates to blog writing and caption writing on my social media posts and for the blogs that go on the website.
Yeah, I mean, it creates unreal efficiency. It really does. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Bridget, what would you say are the biggest mistakes you've made at your firm?
I would say one of the mistakes is whenever I hired someone maybe in the past that may have been a marketing team, not necessarily knowing what I needed.
Hmm.
So it's just like, okay, well, can you do marketing for me? Okay, well, what does that mean? Right. And I think that's the easiest way sometimes to you not feeling like they're doing their job, because you don't really know what to expect. You're just like, okay, can you do marketing? And so I think, making sure that I have a grasp on digital marketing. I have a grasp on, is it important for me to do, at one point I was doing billboards.
Hmm.
And, is that helpful for me, in my audience? And in what ways can it be helpful? So me having a grasp at that time when I was seeking out a marketing team, I feel like I wasted thousands of
Hmm.
dollars on various marketing teams because I didn't necessarily know what it was that I was looking for.
Hmm.
And so it's a learning lesson. It's definitely a learning lesson. So I would say that. And
Yep.
then also, as time has progressed, I have really learned and began to love automations. Before I feel like I had, a paralegal or a legal assistant that was doing quite a few things that could have been automated. And so, as again, time has progressed, I put that paralegal onto doing other things that are more substantive based and that take some things off of my plate. and automated some of the things that may have been repeat and mundane things that she was doing. So I think that really saved money, so much, and time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the biggest mistakes I would say I've done. Just knowing what it is that you're looking for. Like, what is it that I really am looking for? And then also being sure to try to automate the things that are repetitive.
Thank you for sharing that, though. That's super insightful. And when it comes to the automations, it can be a little bit daunting. How do I set this up? Where do I start? But the idea is you set it up once essentially, and then it just runs and runs and runs. And you can, either scale back your workforce, or have those, good people work on more, higher value items, right?
Yes, yes, I think that is, I mean, that's said so well. The thing is that when you first do it, you're just like, okay, oh my goodness, I have to do a workflow and I have to, figure out, how can I get Zapier to connect to this, place and this and that. And so if you don't know, how to do that, and if you've never done it before, I would strongly recommend reaching out to other people who have. That was a great thing for me. Like I reach out to other attorneys all the time who utilize social media and who are great at email marketing, and ask them, okay, well, what app are you using, to add captions across, your videos right now? Because I really like the way that that's happening. Or, what app are you using, to integrate this? So, reach out to people. You don't want to reinvent the wheel, and you never want to feel like you're starting from scratch. So it's not I think most people, and most attorneys, especially if they have the time, they're willing to share with other attorneys, how you can be successful through social media as well. So it's just about reaching out.
I agree. I totally agree. So before we wrap up, Bridgette, I always like to ask, if a lawyer watching only has time to adopt one, maybe two of the tips that you shared today, what would you recommend?
I would recommend two things. One, automate, automate, automate. Automate as many things as you possibly can. Especially the biggest thing that I think that helps with automation for me has been we automate right now check-ins with clients. So even if I don't have any update for the client right now, we don't have an update. There is a 2-week check-in that automatically goes out to them, and they think it's from me because my picture's at the bottom, my signature's there, and we're just saying, hey, we're just letting you know we're checking in with you. That's the number one complaint with most people with their attorneys, is that they haven't heard from them, they haven't checked in. And the attorney's response to that is, well, nothing's going on with your case, there's nothing to tell you. Well, the people, they just want to feel like, my lawyer's checking in on me. They want to feel like, my attorney is caring about what's going on here. So that is a really big thing there. And the second thing I would say is to create relationships with other attorneys and people in your community, and nurture those relationships. So it's just not enough to say, okay, well, I went to, my local coffee shop and I gave them my card, right? If you support them, they're going to come back and support you too. So you want to make sure that you are, letting them know, hey, I am, an attorney. I'm in this practice area. Be involved in local organizations. I'm involved in a couple of things here in Dallas. And so those individuals, they remember you, and they're going to send referrals your way.
Yeah, let people know what you do, right? And nurture those relationships. Like you said, just like any other relationship we have in our lives, any other friendship, you have to work at keeping, keeping it healthy and keeping it thriving. What are some things that you do? I know you're keeping in touch with those referral sources through email, but what are some other ways that you're kind of nurturing those relationships on an ongoing basis?
So if it depends on who it is and what capacity they are. So if they are, let's say, other medical providers. So medical providers that we'd worked with in the past. So they get a email marketing campaign that goes out weekly. And then also sometimes they invite me to different things that may be going on in the city. So we may have like a happy hour that they are promoting. I make sure I go and I support them. Sometimes I even host events and I'll invite just the medical providers that I work with, sometimes, or I make sure I take them the lunch, especially because I'm working on making sure that I create and nurture the relationships that I have with them. And whenever we do have a mutual client, that it goes well, in the future and continue to have clients together. So I would say if they have events, show up. And if you don't have to show up to every last one of them, but make sure they know your face,
Right.
and that they know, if you can't be there, maybe you send a paralegal, someone like that, to be a representative for you.
Yeah, show them the support that you're hoping they reciprocate, right? I mean, that I love that advice. It seems like common sense, but I think sometimes we have to get these reminders. Bridgette, thank you so much. You have been super generous with your time. Thank you for sharing your experience today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Lots of good stuff from Bridgette today, right? Here are the key takeaways I see. Number one, you don't need tens of thousands of followers to generate clients from Instagram. So many of my past guests have massive follower counts, so it's easy to get discouraged if you don't. I get that. But Bridgette's experience really demonstrates that several thousand followers can be enough to begin bringing you a helpful flow of new clients. This is important to remember. This is within your reach. Number two, explanatory YouTube videos have a long, useful life. It's definitely harder to gain subscribers on YouTube than followers on Instagram or TikTok, but you don't need large numbers on YouTube for your videos to deliver leads. Bridgette is smart to be posting substantive content there on YouTube, but she could benefit even more if she created explanatory videos with titles and topics targeted at common search phrases. Number three, social media can bring referrals as well as leads. Bridgette's example of her referring a case to a Chicago lawyer because she liked and learned from his videos, that's definitely instructive. I've spoken to many lawyers on social media who've built referral networks with other lawyers on social media. With all of them gaining leads nationwide and needing to refer their out-of-state cases, those networks can be very lucrative. Number four, being active in attorney Facebook groups can also bring referrals. The same cross-referring occurs with lawyer Facebook groups, right? Being active in those groups will generate more engagement and referrals than remaining silent. And lastly, number five, automating client check-ins is a high-value use of technology, right? Bridgette is the third guest, at least, on my show to tell me about automating client communication. I mean, what a smart way to address the number one complaint about lawyers, as well as certainly distinguish yourself from lawyers who've not yet adopted the tactic. I hope my interview with Bridgette has been helpful and informative. Next week's interview, it's a good one. It's with a fast-growing 4X Miami injury solo who launched his firm in the middle of COVID and is now opening 25 to 35 new case files per month from screened Google local service ads, as well as the medical source referrals and direct client leads that he gets from his 4,800 follower Instagram page. I hope you join us. See us next week. Keep marketing.